Hi, I'm Jordan Thorne. I am the Editorial Content Manager here at FEI TV. We're here at the Boston Innovation Conference, and I'm joined here today by Ivy Ross. She is the Vice President of Design for Hardware Products at Google. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So, I read an article describing how you had been largely responsible for changing Google's culture of design. Why do you think that you've had such success, and what kind of different thinking did you bring to the table?
So Google they had designed some products, but had never really created a family of hardware products or had a design department with color, materials, finish, really the full complement of the process.
Yeah.
And I think our success is really based on, first of all, I'm the orchestra conductor, so I have a team of very talented people, which I liken to, instruments, and my job is to really know them really well and their gifts and talents and hold the vision that we align to, and sometimes say a little more drums, a little less trombone.
Yeah.
But together we really had the gift of the experience of creating what does it feel like to hold Google in your hands, because Google is a very big company, but we know it as things other than physical form.
Yeah.
So it was almost like a startup within Google in that we asked ourselves that question, what would it feel like to hold Google in your hands? And came up with words that I believe come from our DNA, which is human, optimistic, and bold. And then we created design principles from that. So for example, human is, when you hold things, you want it to feel comfortable and organic, like our speakers feel like you're holding a river stone. So, our philosophy was really united around, how do we create products that fit into your life, don't stand out. And so I think we were successful because we had real vision and intention, and I have a very talented team that, together we executed on it.
Amazing. Did you have a hand in creating that team?
Yeah, I would say 3/4 of them were, because it was a new division, we hired into. I mean, there was a few folks that had been there doing some of the pieces of hardware that had been done separately. So it was a good marriage of old and new.
Amazing. And as a female in a leadership role, what degree of responsibility do you feel that women in leadership roles should have towards mentoring and sort of developing younger women into similar roles like this?
Yeah, so I think that, women were put in the workforce for a reason, because especially in technology, I think we ask different questions.
Yeah.
And it's just about diversity of lens that we look at things through. And so I think it's extremely important that I do everything I can to mentor and keep women in the workforce, and especially in technology.
Yeah.
And also really encourage them to be themselves, because I think a big issue is often they look around and see how men have advanced and so, oh, I have to be like that to get ahead. And a lot of my mentoring is like, no, you have to be you. And even if it feels different, there's a reason, because we just feel things differently and we ask different questions. So when I was coming up through the ranks, it's interesting, there weren't enough women, I think, at the higher levels to really mentor. And if they were, some of them, it was very competitive. I think they thought it was competitive, so they didn't want to mentor young women, which is crazy. And now I get such, I love doing it, because I don't think, I think we're at a time where it's a wisdom exchange, and I learn things from them, they learn things from me. So I encourage all women to do that as much as possible, because we have to set that precedent up.
Yeah.
And it's the way we're going to be happier in the workforce together.
That's incredible. And so I imagine you've probably had a mentor yourself. Maybe you haven't, but I'd love to know if you have, and maybe an impactful anecdote you could share that really helped you through your career.
I have to say, my best mentor, I laughed because, was Dr. Seuss.
I love that.
The book, Oh, the Places You'll Go.
Oh, that's so cool.
I used to read that over and over again because it just says, fasten your seatbelt. You know, there'll be ups and downs and bumps along the way. I can't make all the rhymes, but
I love that.
he has been my solid mentor throughout. If ever I run into a jam, I open one of his books and laugh and go, you know what, this is just part of the journey.
That's such a unique answer. I really love that. So you just touched on a bit about mentorship and around women sort of needing to help other women. What kind of advice or strategies might you be able to offer women to help them achieve more prominent roles in their organizations?
Yeah, I would just say tap into your essential self. Like, don't be fearless to be yourself. And you know, often it's hard for us to promote ourselves or talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think it was there was a design competition or technology competition. I think it was I won't say who it was, but it was and a young woman who ran it came to me one day and said, "Ivy, it's crazy that no women are winning these awards." And we looked, luckily now when you can enter things online, you could see where they would drop out of the applications, like abandoning shopping cart.
Yeah.
And it was at the point where it asked, tell us what greatness basically you have done or achieved. And it was like somehow it intimidated them.
Wow.
Because that's where they all abandoned the application. And so I think this idea, we have to get comfortable with talking about our achievements. You know, I think it's just not something that's in our memes or our genes as much. So my advice would be to be proud of those achievements and just start practicing articulating it.
Yeah.
And to be fearless to be yourself.
I love that. I imagine it's also sort of not only being fearless in recognizing that, but also in yourself, sort of recognizing that that you have achievements, that maybe you sort of think, I think there's the saying, sort of the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
You feel like you never sort of know enough or do enough, especially women.
Yep.
And so it holds a lot of people back, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I think we're so used to looking at others
and
helping others that we don't, you're right, reflect enough back on ourselves.
Yeah. Great, I love that answer. So how do you foster creative and innovative thinking within your organizations? You know, what are some of the ways that the ideas are shared or implemented?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, creativity and innovation starts with trust and freedom. It's setting up a space in which people can trust each other to try things that might sound silly or stupid, but actually turn into being incredible ideas.
Yeah.
And that I inspire and bring in others to inspire people. I think, you know, we don't ask a computer for output till we give it input. So creativity comes from an innovation, being out in the world with our antennas and seeing, touching, feeling everything, and then putting it through our own unique filters to come up with a new idea. But if you don't allow people to get out in the world and to be inspired by everything, you can't expect people to be innovative.
Yeah.
So I think really trying to give the team the gift of inspiration, freedom, time to play, are some of the things that I do with the team.
Sounds really cool. I'd love to work for you.
Okay.
So if you were to look 10 years down the line, what do you think your industry will look like?
Yeah, it probably won't even be called what we're called today.
You think so?
I think, you know, I think things are just getting more fluid and more integrated. So who knows if there'll be a separate tech industry.
Yeah.
Or whether, you know, I do think the future is going to continue to find ways where technology can be in service to humanity. Technology's always been a tool, and I would love to see it make us more creative, happier humans. So I don't know what we'll call it, but I think that's what we'll be.
That's cool. I look forward to seeing if that's true.
Okay.
To finish off, Could you tell me a moment in your career where you felt really proud to be a leader in your industry?
Yeah, it was when I created something called Project Platypus when I was head of design at Mattel Toys, and I created a new way to work with people that kind of stripped them of their titles and gave them 2 weeks just to learn new things together and connect, because I think when you learn new things together, you bond. Yeah. And then proved it was a 12-week development cycle, but I proved that if you spend 2 weeks getting new input and learning things, new things together and connecting, then your 10 weeks are that much more innovative and effective and creative. And at first, people were going, well, wait a minute, but we're not generating any output these 2 weeks. And I said, yes, correct. You're having new experiences together, and you're getting input. And of course, it was just an instinct of mine. But my proudest moment was when it actually worked to the point where I won the Chairman's Award for Sustainability of the whole company because of this new process and way that we worked, which we then kept going for many years. So I think, and people were happier, and in fact, women were getting pregnant, and I'm like, what's up with that? And it was because they were feeling, these are women who couldn't conceive with their husbands, but they were feeling so unstressed and so creatively rewarded that their hormones were flowing differently.
That's incredible.
To this day, I have people on Facebook that say, I have your son or daughter, I have you to thank for my son or daughter. And it takes me a minute to be like, what are they talking about? Yeah. And then I remember that project I did where actually, not only were we birthing great product ideas, but we were birthing babies.
That's the coolest thing ever. It's incredible. I think it's important, and I think it's a testament to sort of your leadership style, is to sort of recognize that sometimes you can take out time. It's not always having to be sort of a goal that you have to drive towards. Yeah. Sometimes it's like just stepping back and allowing ideas to flourish. And
trusting that spending it differently.
Yeah.
Right? And playing with how you spend your time to get to better results.
Yeah. Fantastic. If I could just ask
one more, because then I have
one
to
more.
go.
No, that's perfectly fine. Just quickly, what do you like about Boston Innovation Festival?
Yeah, well, I've only been to this conference within it, but I do think the sharing of ideas and different perspectives, I think it's really important. I believe in zooming in and zooming out. And so I think moments like this, it's a zoom out moment, and you need that to be able to get different perspective on your own company or how you do things.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure.
You're
welcome.
Thank you.